pass it, I'm bringing it in. Hey folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER. It is once again time to recycle your plastic with an all-metal JP fan. As some of you may know, I've already done videos on the 70mm twin 6L and the ME262, so be sure to check that out. It's a really good flight video and an installation video. Also the 105mm 12-cell version in the HSD Super Viper, which is pretty sweet, so be sure to check out those videos, full flight demos and installations. But today for you, I have the 90mm version in the 90mm EDF in the 8-cell version. Now you can see there's a 6, 8, 10, and 12-cell version of the 90mm, so quite a range on this line. These are pretty much the best fans in the industry. Let's take a look inside. This is pretty much typically how they come packaged in foam. They do a really good job putting them in this foam that protects the whole thing quite nicely, and you can see it all comes really engineered, manufactured, balanced, and just pretty much ready to go in your airplane. Also in the box here, you get the spinner cone for the front here. You also get a tail cone here, which is really just meant for either running an in-runner in the airplane or as a or to install the airplane, just kind of to protect the motor. Also, there's what I'm going to be running. There's probably either a 150 or 120 Mantis ESC to drive this thing. And the other thing that comes in the box is just a set of bullets to solder onto whatever speed controller that you want to use that will fit onto the fan. Now let's go ahead and get all this together, and we'll take a closer look at the fan unit. Here's a quick look at the fully assembled JP fan. It pretty much is fully assembled, just like you saw it coming out of the box, with the exception of the front spinner and the tail cone there. They do that just for shipping purposes. Key features of this fan really is that it's all engineered out of aluminum, every single part. The greatest feature about this thing is that the main rotor blade is engineered out of one solid piece of aluminum. It's just all machined. And it has pretty much probably the tightest tolerance in the industry. And as you can see right here, the fan blade right here has only a 0.5 millimeter gap between the blade and the sidewall, which makes it super efficient. Also, because it's metal, the fan blades are actually a little longer normally than most of your typical plastic or carbon fiber fans, so it's got a lot more blade there. Another thing I really like about it too is the fact that you can see the motor housing is actually wider than the spinner, so you've got air that actually goes right over that spinner. It gets blown right back through the entire motor housing and out the back. Also, the other cool, nicest feature which makes this thing efficient and powerful is that the motor does not need to turn the spinner. You can see the spinner is fixed. It's a spinner cone. It's fixed with these stators. The stators keep it in position, so the motor doesn't have to get out of balance with a wobbly spinner. I've had spinners come off before. And also, the motor doesn't have to use any energy to turn a spinner, since the spinner here is fixed. So probably the nicest design around for sure. Starting at the back here, I want to cover a couple things here. The tail cone itself is really only for running an in-runner motor. It keeps an in-runner motor cool, but with an outrunner it actually kind of heats it up a little bit. So you want to make sure you take this off if you're using an outrunner motor. This is also the only part that tightens when you turn it clockwise and loosens when you turn it counterclockwise, so it's a little bit odd. But something you just want to make note of. The rest of the fan disassembles by turning it the opposite direction. So also the threads on these things are very fine, so you want to be careful just not to cross thread if you ever take these things on and off. Also, you can see the motor balance. There's some lightning holes here. They bounce this all at the factory. They drill these out, so this thing runs just glassy smooth as it turns. Some of these motors will have more holes than others, so that's just something to note. Also, here are the wires. They do a real nice job soldering, and very nice braided lines all throughout this whole thing. So, and those wires go through a dedicated, you can see here, a dedicated dorsal fin right here that this thing runs through. So normally you have those wires sometimes coming out of the motor or coming out of a hole, and they turn around and they're in the way, but here they're completely, you can see, out of the way. Outstanding design, really nice how they plan those. Also, you can see here your motor tabs right here are actually screwed in. You can see they come in here, I'll try and angle this right. They come in from the inside here with some machine screws, some Allen head machine screws. So really nicely manufactured how everything is put together. Now up front here, very simple stuff. Now you shouldn't need to ever disassemble this thing, but if you do need to, again, just keep in mind that you turn it clockwise to loosen everything and counterclockwise to tighten everything. Now I'm going to pull the spinner off. There's really no reason you would need to pull that spinner off of there, that spinner cone, but if you do that, you can get at it. Again, notice counterclockwise to tighten. It's very weird, but it's just something to get used to. Also, the engine lip. Let me see if I can get this thing off of here. It's sometimes tough to get them off. They have a little bit of material, almost like a thread lock or something that they put on there. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take this apart for everybody so you can kind of see how precise it is and how nicely it goes together and comes apart. Everything disassembles on this very, very easily. I'm going to take the entire stator and spinner cone off so you can kind of see what that looks like. And there you go. There you have it. You can see, again, the threads are a very fine thread, so you do want to be careful putting these things on and off that you don't cross-thread everything. And now we're at the heart of the whole thing, which is the main rotor. You can see that rotor goes together or assembles. No collet drive on this, which is another thing I like. There's a single Allen screw on that side, and there's a second one on the opposite side. So there's actually two of them that hold this thing in place. And notice a few more holes here. Sometimes there's a lot of lightning holes in here to balance it at the factory, which is how they do it. So you may have more or less on here depending on yours and how they balanced it at the factory. But really sweet, guys. You can see how nicely engineered these rotor blades are. This is the best rotor and nicest system around. Again, I really like it because it doesn't really, you don't really worry about a spinner coming out of balance, and the motor doesn't need to drive or spend any energy turning that spinner. It only has to work on spinning the rotor itself, which is really nice. It makes it really efficient and very, very, very powerful. Now, getting this back together, you want to be really careful in how you get this thing in place. Remember, counterclockwise is the thing that tightens it. So sometimes you run it backwards a little bit till you hear a snap, and that usually means that the thread's locked in. You have to be very careful getting this on, but it should go on nice and freely. You have to sort of feel your way through it, and once you get it all on there, you can see that it goes on there pretty quick and pretty easily, but it's very easy to cross that thread, so you want to be very careful how you get this thing back on. Again, I'm going to rotate this thing the opposite direction sort of till I hear a snap. That seems to be a good way to do it. Hear that click? That means the threads are kind of locked in place, and you should be able to very carefully turn this thing on. And then once you get it on there, you can kind of feel that it goes on there nice and easy, and it's all back in place, and you want to make sure it's all secured in place. But anyway, guys, really nice fan coming from JP Hobby. Again, check out the 70mm fan videos I put out on the installation and on the flight on the ME262 Ultra, the 105mm on the HSD Super Viper. And we'll be getting this in probably one of the TAF 90mm jets again. Probably the either the Quantum or probably the Valkyrie jet. I haven't decided which one to put it in, but be looking for that video of the installation in there and flight demo with this. Anyway, guys, once again, time to recycle your plastic with an all-metal fan from JP Hobby. Thanks for checking out RC Informer, and as always, we'll see you next time. We're coming by fast now. One more pass.